Dan Brown is at it again. He did Da Vinci, Angels and Demons, and now The Lost Symbol. First he blew the lid off the Opus Dei organization. Now he's blowing the lid off the Freemasons. I personally think his next target will be the British Israelite Society, of which there's a chapter in Vancouver, which is devoted to the belief that the British are the lost tribes of Israel. If that isn't an obscure secret society up to no good, I don't know what is. Ah, you say, that's not fair. He writes fiction, which he has an oddly serious intent that you should be oddly serious about his fiction, but nevertheless it is fiction. He's a writer. And how? Let me quote something, one of my favorite bits of his writing, from Da Vinci. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I'll try. Captain Bezu-Pash carried himself like an angry ox, with his wide shoulders thrown back and his chin tucked hard into his chest. His dark hair was slicked back with oil, accenting an arrow-like widow's peak that divided his jutting brow and preceded him like the prow of a battleship. Have you ever seen a battleship? That's a bloody big prow. Now, this is a kind of unique style, and it's certainly very vivid, and it's very emotional in its connotations, but just how credible is it? So I'm going to demonstrate. Imagine this is the prow of a battleship. Well, you'll have to use a lot of imagination at my age, but there it is, jutting forward. And now the shoulder thrown back, chin in the chest. Well, no wonder everyone got out of his way when they saw him coming. It's a unique style, for sure. And he's giving writing seminars, how to write like him. Oh, I imagine money. Well, you can't argue with 81 million plus copies of novels sold. So, simply because he continues to do what he does best, I give to Dan Brown the special, just when you thought it was safe to go to the bookstore at Elron. Some of you may remember that I awarded him this very same Elron for the Da Vinci Code. But I figure if he can reuse his ideas constantly, I can reuse Elron. Now, last and always least is the Elron Reserve for John Norman, the author of the Gore series. It's a Beacon tradition. In fact, for Beacon 3, Ursula K. Le Guin, who had been guest of honor at the first Beacon, and it was her first convention, by the way, was invited to come back for Beacon 3. She couldn't make it. She sent a letter, which is still in the BISPA archives, the British Columbia Science Fiction Association, saying that she regretted she couldn't make it, but she had a suggestion for the Elrons. She felt that John Norman deserved at least a bronze lentil for semi-literate fetishism. And he received it. Many feminist authors in particular did not like his writings. Well, he's received more than 30 Elrons. Once I gave him an Elron for having received the most Elrons. But last year I was desperate. I couldn't find any information on what he did that year, or any previous year, a couple of years previous. So I gave him a special Elron. The special, for the first time in 35 years, I haven't done anything to deserve an Elron. Well, that put me in a state of panic, because what the heck was I going to do this year? Well, Beacon 33 had been in October. Turns out, in November, he published online the 27th novel in the Gore series.
Oh my God!
The first he had written for about 10 years, called The Prize of Gore. The Prize of Gore is an Earth woman, and the entire novel is narrated by her, apparently. I haven't read it, but I've read reviews. She's a professor, a professional woman, an educator, who somehow is kidnapped and becomes a sex slave on Gore. At no time in the book do you learn her name. However, living on a wildly alien planet, one of the Gorians gives her the name Ellen, and you know her by that name. Now, the book is 700 pages long. One critic said, well, it would be much better if it were only 400 pages. Another critic said, I disagree. In that 700 pages is a 250-page book struggling to get out. The best comment, I think, was written by a longtime fan. He said the first 7 novels in the series were excellent. I could beg to differ, but that was this fan's opinion. But he follows with this quote, or well, with his writing, which I now quote. To get to the flashes of imagination and excitement which made the first few books fun to read, you'd have to wade through ever more interminable male supremacist lectures calling for the enslavement of all women. The endless repetition of the case for making women slaves gets quite boring after a while, and almost makes you wonder if Norman actually means it. Well, it's actually refreshing news because it sounds like Norman is still in his usual top form. So to John Norman goes the special proof positive the old master can still do it. Please shoot me now, Elron. Well, thank you for coming to the Elrons, and let me just mention that I'll be bringing the book of Beacon to the Hospitality Dead Dog Party, where you can put down your impressions, you can draw sketches, and you can look at the sketches and the impressions of previous fans going all the way back to Beacon 6. Wow. So hope you come to the party and sign the book. Thank you.